How you guys doing? This is Earl from Resolution15, and this is the first of the metal violin lessons that we're going to be broadcasting on YouTube and putting out there every week or so, because we've been hearing back from fans asking me to demo some of these tunes, and they want to see how it is that we get our sound and what we do. So the first one is called Yama, and I guess I'll play it first. So, that's basically the first idea, the first two ideas of the tune. This was the last song that was written without notes, because actually we started going through Sibelius, and for instance, this I have with me. This is sheet music for In Full View, which is also off of Svaha, but like I said, this was the last one because in a way it was getting too complicated. The music was starting to get too complicated where we could be like a garage band. It goes like this, then it goes like this. So we couldn't, this is the last one where there's no music. So it starts off on the D string. Well, actually, first things you need to do this music, you need a 7-string violin. This is a Jordan electric violin. There's seven strings. E, A, D, G, C, F, and B flat. So if you don't have the lower strings, it won't happen. People sometimes ask me, do I tune my violin in a certain way? I don't do, the fancy term is scordatura. I don't do scordatura. They're tuned in fifths like a normal orchestral instrument. But I don't need to because I finger appropriately if I'm in a certain key. If I'm in C, I start here. If I'm in D, start here. It's not quite like guitar, with advantages and disadvantages. So, getting back to what I was saying, the opening of Yama begins on the D string, open D. So it's an odd metered cycle. Cuts off right there on that C natural and goes right to the lowest string, E flat, whole tone scale, and then hits D. So, the whole tone again. A word about bow strokes, how I do bow strokes. A lot of metal depends on what we call a collé bow stroke. It gives the same impression as a half palm muted, not full palm mute, but a half palm mute. Kind of a thing. What I do is a lot of finger and a lot of finger motion is involved. And this, actually, kids, if you think you can do other styles of music without studying the classical foundations, good luck. No way. Not with this kind of stuff, not with really any kind of stuff if you want to have integrity behind what you do. This idea is no different from what from what we learned in violin school, from hundreds of years of knowledge being passed down. And the latest big pedagogue, this guy Ivan Galamian, and this is basically this bow hold. If you don't have finger motion in what you do, a lot of the technique, it just won't happen. So, you have to have that clean bow hold in order to execute the collé well. So, the 16th note to the 8th note rhythm, the jigadum, 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 jigadum. That's so prevalent in metal. Now, back in the day, I actually used to do, again, the technical term is sautelé. I used to do a sautelé for it. You can also call it ricochet or sautelé. Actually, if there are any violin nerds out there with the exact difference, I actually forget. School was a long time ago, but I used to ricochet it. With certain pros and cons. The pro is that the initial attack is actually maybe slightly better because it slaps, because the bow slaps the string. And I initially thought that more suitable to what we were doing. But when I went into production with for the album Satyagraha that Corey Unger from Blood Has Been Shed produced, we looked at the wave files, and when I would play with a ricochet, there was not enough actual sound coming out in the wave files, and I realized that it was not contributing to a heavy sound, so I had to alter it a little bit. So now these are basically détachés, but they're very well, not détachés, they're martelé bows. But they're very, I make sure to sharply attack each note. So, another thing to mention. Kids, this is your fucking best friend. Best friend ever. If you don't know what this is, go and find out. You know what, actually, I'm gonna rant a little bit. I got a lot of music teacher friends. Some of my best friends, music teachers. And they deal with students who are always like, I don't need a metronome, I don't want to practice with a metronome, I just want the easy way out, I just want to do all this sorts of, I just want to do really cool rock star things. And you know what? It's fucking bullshit. Doesn't work if you don't work hard and you don't actually take the time to really hone your technique. And part of honing your technique is a metronome. Why is the metronome so awesome? The metronome is so awesome is because it keeps you honest. You can't fucking lie. You think this thing goes on, and believe me, I'm not, it gets annoying. I know. I hear you. Right? Just does this. Over and over and over and over, right? But if I start going, then I'm wrong. Then I look like a fucking asshole, right? Alright, so you know the two basic first two riffs of Yama. It goes into a second part that goes. So B flat to a C flat. C natural, D flat. Next phrase, so that was the antecedent phrase, consequent phrase. So we add another beat to it, and so we cut off one of the patterns of the 16th note to 8th note B flat patterns. Cut that off and add a beat. So that's that. So that's actually the first half of Yama. Those are the riffs that constitute the first half of Yama. The bridge starts on D. So, I don't think you got that. I didn't get that either. You start on D in first position. Shift to second position. Now back to first. So D, the higher octave D on the C string, first finger, first position, B flat. So, then following that is a solo. I usually try to do what's on the CD, usually, but I always like to kind of feel it show by show. I don't always play exactly what's there, because if I do exactly the same thing all the time, I'm gonna get fucking bored. So there's that. Now the next part. It's the last part. And then finally, when Kenny does his crazy polyrhythmic craziness like he always does, same thing but power chords, fifths. And that's a glissando downwards. So, that's Yama. Thanks for listening, folks. See you next time.